Hi everyone, welcome back to my Spiritual Balance YouTube channel. I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy new year. Hope everyone had a fun and safe and happy, healthy New Year's. And yeah, I'm going to be looking at January of 2022 in this video about the astrological outlook and the kind of energies that we have coming up for January. January is a big month. And it just keeps on coming. And, that's just, these are the times that we are in. So, I'm actually excited about the energy and the changes while being aware that we're going to have to hunker down and, make sure we're loaded up with our protective crystals and, our little tips and tricks about what we need to do to navigate this very intense energy. And, the energy of 2022 is somewhat similar to that of 2020 and 2021, except for that in 2022, there's more freedom available. There's more hope and optimism. We are moving into the future. We are seeing the future, but we're not quite finished with like the wrap up and the lessons of the last few years. And as well as, with the pandemic and everything else we've been dealing with, we're still working our way through this, but there is more hope and more ease and flow coming in the year ahead. So yeah, like I said, I am excited about this year. I do think it will be different enough that we don't have to throw in the towel life yet, but just continue with the good self-care, the good health practices, just love yourself and love others, take good care of your family and friends. It's really important in these times. So we began the year with Jupiter in re-entering Pisces. Jupiter entered Pisces on December 28th of 2021. So this is like what really changes the flavor of 2022. It feels so much better to have Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is at home in Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient ruling sign of Pisces. And then Neptune, also in Pisces, is the modern ruling sign of Pisces. So in April, these planets will meet and we will have an extremely watery time, an extremely watery year. Also just raising the importance of staying well hydrated because obviously our bodies are made up of mostly water as well. So we need to be able to flow with these energies to be able to navigate, just with more flow and ease with the planets instead of against the planets. So the other thing that we started the year with, which is kind of a downer, is Venus retrograde. And so Venus went retrograde on December 19th, I believe, and will stay retrograde until the end of January. And this has been really hard. Venus is the planet of love and beauty, relationships and partnerships, and of what we enjoy, of pleasure. So when Venus is retrograde, those things are just more internal. There's just not like the ease and the fun of what Venus can normally bring. So, we have the greater benefic Jupiter doing good things and bringing, the fun stuff, but then the lesser benefic Venus is she's just not in a strong condition right now. This is a really powerful time to do that heart-centered healing though while Venus is retrograde. And Venus is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So this is really important to kind of do like an audit on our lives. Excuse me. Do we have enough of what we love in our lives? Do we need to make more time for pleasure, more time for fun? And that's something I've noticed a lot in my readings lately, is that people are talking more and more about the need to schedule in fun. And Venus in Capricorn is perfect for this, getting serious about our pleasure, getting serious about our fun, scheduling things in. If you've had a hard time with getting together with friends or having a date night, pull out the calendar and just schedule it, pencil it in. If you need to make adjustments, then fine. But, we have to be dedicated to our relationships. And it is a time where relationships and friendships just take more work. And maybe our beauty routines, our look, it just takes a little more work, a little more effort to look good and to feel good. And there's nothing wrong with that. Venus and Capricorn can also make us feel like time, we're so much more aware of the passage of time. And, that's why it's really, again, vital to appreciate what we have in our lives, to look around and, take stock of what we have. So, yeah, that it kind of like dampens the fun and the good times that we normally would associate with New Year's and New Year's Eve. The Venus retrograde is just kind of like, meh, like, we really tried to have fun, but it just maybe wasn't as fun as it could have been or should have been. And that's just, again, that's what we're dealing with right now. So so that's kind of how we start January. And we also will have the Mercury retrograde mid-January. So Mercury's already in its retrograde shadow. So even though it's a new year, we're pushing forward, the personal planets, Mercury and Venus, are either retrograde or preparing to go retrograde. So there's a slowdown. We're kind of like hitting the brakes. We want to move forward and launch things. And of course, Capricorn season is normally a great time to do that. But everything else, the planets are like, maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe you have more to think about. Can we develop a project, a creative project even further? So, just sit with this energy. Of course, if there are things that you need to do, go ahead and do it, and just know that it may change or be altered as time moves on. But, overall, if you have to, we don't stop living because of the astrology, which is something I've really learned to work with. Of course, I've gone through the phases where you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything, like, let this pass me by. And sometimes I still do that. But for the most part, we have to live, we have to move forward and try to pick the best energy to do it. And sometimes what the astrology is also showing us is when it's just a good time to not do things. So again, use your judgment if something is coming in from the outside, if you have no control over it. Just be aware of the energy and move forward, just being more conscious and more focused on the little details. So, okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive into January. Like I said, January is a very volatile and crazy month. And you wouldn't know it from the beginning of January. The beginning of January is pretty mellow. In fact, I would say that the year even got off to a very sleepy start. On January 1st, the moon was void all day long. So many people I spoke to as well were like, yeah, I didn't hear from anyone. How unusual for that to happen on New Year's Day, like to just be quiet. And that's the void moon energy. So, I'm sure they still love you and you still love them, but everyone was just kind of having like a out of it day. So on January 2nd, the planet Mercury entered Aquarius, and this is the sign that Mercury is going to go retrograde in the middle of the month. And like when I realized that Mercury was going into shadow, it just caught me off guard. Like I just feel like all the Mercury retrogrades have been catching me off guard since this whole past year, the whole year of 2021. And so here we are, another Mercury retrograde coming up. And this is a good time to kind of like slow down and unplug. Mercury will be retrograde in Aquarius and then go back into Capricorn and meet Pluto for the second time. And so Mercury in Aquarius is like, it's zooming out, it's in Mercury and Capricorn, we were like in the details, Mercury was with Venus and met Pluto down in the underworld, trying to like figure things out and, like organize things on the internal level. And then when Mercury entered Aquarius, it like zoomed out from that like deep, intense work. And now Mercury is looking at our lives, at our choices, at the way we think from a higher perspective. And it's so helpful when we can do that, because sometimes if we're like too caught up in the details, too caught up in the process, which is really something that Mercury and Capricorn can do. It's like those tension headaches from thinking too much about the problem. Mercury in Aquarius is like, zoom out, go take a break, walk around, go, just stare off into space, and the answer will come, the clarity will come. So we could all use a change in perspective, I think, these days with Mercury in the sign of Aquarius. So yeah, like, let the, Mercury or the Aquarian energy in general is a creator, they're the, like the scientists, like coming up with new experiments, and different things. Aquarius is, the sign of the genius, thinking outside of the box. And that's what is going to be required this year in general. As I said last year too, like, we have to think out of the box. That was part of the Saturn-Uranus square. And Mercury in Aquarius is saying the same thing. It's saying, no, we really do need to think outside of the box now, because the old approach isn't going to work anymore. So yeah, so we're going to be dealing with that for most of the month. And then on January 5th, the Venus retrograde will sextile over to Neptune in Pisces. And this happens around midday on the 5th. And this is a really beautiful energy. This is a great opportunity for healing. Neptune is a higher octave of Venus. So Neptune is that divine love and Venus is more of the earthly love. And they're coming together in an aspect of love and support and friendship and assistance. So this is really good in general for just to treat yourself, you know, to have healing, some sexual healing, even with Mercury. I'm sorry, not Mercury, with Venus and Neptune. You know, it's just that like love and like choosing to stay in love, you know, or choosing to treat yourself. This is a day where we can go overboard with some spending. So be careful if you're shopping on this day. Just be aware that it could go a little too far. Yeah, and if you're having like a first date or something, this is great, even though Venus retrograde is usually not good for diving in head over heels in a love relationship. This is really a good day to, you know, like to have a first date, have a second date, get to know each other better. Usually Neptune Venus aspects, when they're in a bad aspect, can be like lies and deceit. But this time it's like sometimes we want to wear those rose-colored glasses. And this is a day where, you know, we will enjoy that. You know, sometimes we need that. We need to be hopeful. We need to kind of like give over, let go of the skepticism, because oh my gosh, like it can be deadening to joy, you know, being like overly skeptical. And yes, we need that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying that every once in a while, we just need to believe in the best in people and to trust and take a leap of faith. And so this day will be a good day to just have a little more fun, to invite in a little more pleasure into your life. So, okay, so then January 8th, this is a big day. The sun in Capricorn is going to meet Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So they're applying to each other. Usually the faster moving planet meets up to a slower moving planet. But when Venus is retrograde and then the sun is moving forward, they kind of like, you know, dive into each other, crash into each other, depending on how the planets are. So in this case, Venus is just clumsily maybe like tripping back into the sun in Capricorn. But this marks the halfway point of the Venus retrograde cycle. So Venus retrogrades usually last for 40 days, 40 nights, and now we're at about 20 days. So we're halfway through, we're smack dab in the middle of the Venus retrograde cycle. This is where things can get really intense. This whole week, the whole first week of January, issues around love, relationships, money, partnerships, pleasure, lack of pleasure, these things can really come to a head because when the sun is meeting with Venus, it's like burning Venus up, it's burning up the energy. And also within that, purifying the energy of Venus. So on the 8th, when they meet exactly, this exact conjunction, this exact moment is called Cazimi. And it means that Venus will be in the heart of the sun. The sun will hold and protect Venus and purify her. She'll be reborn in those fires of the sun, kind of like the phoenix being reborn in the ashes, from its ashes. So yeah, Venus, at that moment, Venus ends its evening star cycle and begins its morning star cycle. As an evening star, Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and intimacy and sex and pleasure. And as the morning star Venus, she's the goddess of war. She, she goes after what she wants. She's more assertive, more dominant, more powerful. So it's interesting to look at your chart and to see whether you're an evening star Venus or a morning star Venus. This can really just show a lot about your love language and your style of love, and just kind of help you to understand more of like what you like and what you need. And I think we could all use a bit more of that. Sometimes we think we like certain things by default because other people like it or because other people are doing it. It's really important to explore your own Venusian language, your own love language, because many times what you actually love and enjoy will not be what is popular out in the world. So Venus on the 8th, Venus meets the sun and she begins her morning phase cycle. We will not see Venus as a morning star for a little while. She needs to get away from the rays of the sun, and then she will dazzle us in the morning sky as a morning star. So, okay, on the 9th of January, Mercury in Aquarius will sextile Chiron in Aries. And this happens late at night. Again, this is a time for mental healing, rethinking a problem. It's a sextile, so it's a helpful energy. We might find some information about healing. We may connect with a healer. Chiron is the wounded healer. So Chiron's all about like alternative remedies and herbal medicine. So this is a good time to like just focus on our health, you know, get some new information, maybe try a new approach to our health and to our wellness. On the same day, on January 9th, we'll move into the second quarter phase of the moon. So the sun in Capricorn will square the moon in Aries. And so we're building towards the full moon energy even more powerfully at this time. The full moon that's coming up in Cancer is, yes, in Cancer, it's a gnarly full moon. It'll be very intense. And so from the second quarter moon, as we build, we're going to be feeling this intensity building. Part of why it's going to be so intense is because the sun and Pluto are going to meet the day before. The next day we have the full moon. So the sun and Pluto are going to be opposite the moon in Cancer. The following day, the Uranus will go direct and the nodes of fate change signs. So it's just like, you know, a few days of just action-packed energy. So I'll get there, I'll flesh it out a little bit more. I always get ahead of myself, but yeah, this is a big deal. So yeah, on the 9th of the second quarter moon, and just start to pay attention, you know, and from here on out, I would say really tap in. If you feel like you need a little bit more protection or you need some better boundaries, it's a really good time to practice these things, because as the intensity builds, we may feel like kind of overwhelmed or caught off guard by how intense things do get. Okay, and then on January 10th, the sun in Capricorn will sextile Neptune in Pisces. This happens late at night. So this is a beautiful aspect for healing, for deep healing. And, you know, in my daily horoscopes, I often write, especially when we have important aspects at night. I always talk about creating a sacred sleep space. Sleep is so important. We spend most of our time actually sleeping. So we want our bedrooms, we want our space to be somewhere that we can really rest, like truly unwind and heal and rest. If we're not sleeping well and our bodies are not getting that time to recoup and rejuvenate, we will not be well. We will be, you know, our bodies will feel sick, we'll feel sluggish, and over time, this can develop into major health problems. So especially with the sun in Capricorn, moon in Pisces, this is water and earth. This is like powerful healing energies, subconscious healing energies. This is a time that I would keep a dream journal close by. And you know, I like listening to like guided meditations before bed, or I mean, Neptune rules music. You could listen to some beautiful music before bed. It's just a really good time to, like, you know, do your yoga, do your stretching, have some herbal teas, just good self-care in general. Like, just love yourself, take good care of yourself. On January 11th, Mars in Sagittarius is going to square Neptune in Pisces. And this happens late in the afternoon. So this aspect can be a little bit wild. Mars in Sagittarius just doesn't care. Like, it wants to like have the adventure, go all out, go big. And Neptune in Pisces is like, yeah, more. Let's have more. Let's drink more. Let's party more. Let's talk more. Let's really like paint the town red is what this aspect is doing. You know, really be careful if you're doing like happy hour. You know, always avoid drinking and driving, but especially when aspects like this are happening. Unfortunately, I've seen it manifest in deadly accidents, you know, just people being overconfident. This is also a time that I would not take unnecessary risks, especially around water or, you know, big adventures, like, you know, especially those that are like last minute. Like, you didn't plan well, and then you're like, yeah, let's go and take a, you know, 10-mile hike and, you know, we'll get water on the way. Like, it's just not good for doing that kind of stuff. When Mars squares Neptune, it can kind of be like a misstep, you know, and it's not all bad. So on the positive side, Mars squaring Neptune, sorry, my puppy is fighting with the curtain. On the positive side, Mars square Neptune can be like challenging our beliefs, you know, like moving towards like new belief systems. Sagittarius is about our belief systems. And so when Mars is there, it's like, do I believe this? Why do I believe this? Like, maybe I don't believe that, and I want to, you know, this other belief aligns more to me. So it's kind of like challenging the belief systems, but for a better outcome. So yeah, it can be a real time of like spiritual awakening or questioning things that we've always believed in, and aligning to things that are more on our higher purpose and our higher path. Okay, on January 14th, Mercury stations retrograde early in the morning in the sign of Aquarius. During this retrograde, Mercury will go back into Capricorn and meet Pluto for the second time. And as then, eventually when Mercury moves forward again, it'll meet Pluto for the third time. So again, like this is going to be a little bit of an intense Mercury retrograde. A lot of the secrets that were happening, things that were like, for example, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, not a lot of information was made public during that trial, and it was while Mercury was in Capricorn with Pluto and the Venus retrograde, like Mercury like passed through that area all during the trial. And so the Mercury retrograde, when Mercury's coming back through, that could be when a lot of this information comes out. And I would expect it to be pretty dark underworld. Obviously it's about sex trafficking and young girls, which is the Pluto-Venus dynamic anyway. And then Mercury is the media, it's the news, it's journalism. Mercury and Aquarius, it's all about integrity. All the Saturn rule signs are really big on having integrity. So we can see a lot of this information coming out during this retrograde. It is a time where, especially when Mercury's in Aquarius, it's a time where technology could really be glitching. So back up all of your, your important information, your phones, your computers, like back everything up. Just be extra careful. Like cracked screens and things like that can be more common. If your car is acting up, if something has been wrong or seeming like there's a problem, just get it taken care of early. If you've had that like nail in your tire and you've been driving around with it, get it taken care of before the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades only, they really work against us when we've been ignoring things. And then during the Mercury retrograde is when it'll catch up with us and then bite us, So deal with any of those issues. If anything has been coming up, if it sounds like something is about to break, try to deal with it ahead of the retrograde, because it'll just make the retrograde cycle easier. And always remember, Mercury retrogrades, we want to do all the rewords. So revise, revisit, rewrite, go back over things. It is a time when people from the past or relationships from the past, especially because Mercury and Venus will be retrograde together, just for a short period of time, but it is a time where, situations from the past loves, your exes, past loves can come back in your life. And it just is coming up for review. You can choose to be involved or not as much as you want. And I like to use these times as an opportunity to review it for myself, not necessarily reach out ever, but also for forgiveness. If there's a theme that keeps coming back up, I don't like to ignore these things, because I find that they only grow if you try and ignore it or sweep it under the rug. I'm just not that kind of person, for better or worse. But anyway, on January 16th, the sun in Capricorn is going to conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. This happens mid-morning. This happens while we're building up to the full moon that we're going to have on January 17th. So when the sun meets Pluto, this is major. This is like an aspect of power. Powerful men could be in the news, in the world. Powerful men could pass away or fall from grace. Again, this Pluto Sun conjunction is so tied into the Venus retrograde, and then Mercury passing through, with Venus, and then coming back into Capricorn later on during Mercury's retrograde. So there's like a big knot. There's a tangling of energy here, and the sun is going to come in to shine a light. The sun in Capricorn isn't playing. The sun in Capricorn is like, what the hell's been going on? And Pluto in Capricorn is like, got caught. And yeah, it'll be a really intense time. Anytime Pluto's involved, it can be linked to power struggles, abuses of power. Just like deep, dark secrets that are coming out, things are coming to light. Do not give up your personal power. This is a day to stand in your power, and whatever it takes, just hold space for yourself. And this is a big time where we're doing extra protection work, Make sure that you are safe, that you feel safe. If you are not feeling safe, go somewhere that you do feel safe. Reach out to someone, let them know you're not feeling safe. This is a time that, the world can become a lot, especially with the full moon the next day. Violence could increase, especially domestic violence, because it's on that Cancer Capricorn axis. Violence against women, violence against children. Again, men get abused all the time. It could also be violence against men. Just it's a time to be extra careful. On the flip side, the Sun-Pluto meeting up is a time for like deep, powerful restoration, a time where we've, sometimes like we've hit rock bottom, and then we realize that we can grow strong since we have hit rock bottom. That's how I love to use Pluto. That's how I love working with Plutonian energy. The further I hit on the rock bottom, sometimes it feels like the bottom is falling out and I hit a new low. Those are the moments that I love, because I know that as low as I can go with depression, with sadness, I know that on the flip side of that, I get to rise even higher in my work and in my personal integrity and my personal power. And it's not about power over other people, it's power over my lowest moments. So it's like me against me. And that's how I like to work with the Plutonian energy, because Pluto is about our soul's evolutionary process. So the deep, dark things that keep coming up for us, Pluto is doing that stuff. Pluto's stirring that pot to say, let's grow stronger. Let's deal with it now so it doesn't fester and rot and turn into something toxic. Let's break it down. Let's help that, like the compost energy that I always talk about with Pluto. Let's let the rod break down so that we can use it for fertile earth, for planting new seeds. That's how I try to use the Plutonian energy. So the following day, Monday, January 17th, we have the Cancer full moon. So the sun in Capricorn, that's still right next to Pluto, is opposing the moon in Venus, the moon in Cancer. And this full moon happens at 27 degrees and 51 minutes of Cancer, and it happens in the evening. And okay, so this full moon is going to be wild and intense. So not only because the day before we had the Sun and Pluto conjunction, and then the next day we had the full moon, but because the following day on February 18th, the planet Uranus stations to move direct. Uranus is one of the other reasons that 2021 was such a huge year, because we had the Saturn-Uranus square happening all year long. So this is nuts to have the Sun-Pluto full moon in Cancer at 27 degrees. So it's at an extreme degree. It's like at the end of Cancer. So it's like the most Cancerian, the most sensitive, the most protective that we can possibly get. And then the following day to have Uranus going direct. Not just that. It's not just that. On the 18th, as Uranus stations direct at 2:49 in the afternoon, Atlantic Standard Time, the nodes of fate. This is where we've been having the eclipses. Whatever sign the eclipses are in is where the nodes of fate are. They control the eclipses. So on January 18th, the nodes of fate switch out of Gemini and Sagittarius into Taurus and Scorpio. There are no words for how extreme these couple of days are going to feel. Uranus is the planet of great awakening. It's of unexpected change, sudden shifts in direction. It's the Tower card in the tarot. Things fall apart, but it's for our highest good. So basically, like, anything can happen. Whatever you think is going to happen on Uranus, with Uranus energy, something else could happen. Usually when Uranus is stationing, it is a time of increased volcanic activity, powerful, dangerous storms, earthquakes, earth changes. All of these things are possible, like power outages, major issues with electricity. And again, it's happening right around or the day after the full moon, with the sun conjunct Pluto. So gosh, it's be careful out in the world, be careful of crazy attacks, watch out for crazy people. lay low. This is one of those times where I'm like, hey, lay low, like keep your schedule light, and just self-care, like layer up that self-care. All right, on the 19th, so after all that craziness for those 3 days, then the sun enters Aquarius. So again, another big energetic change, another big shift in the frequency and in the vibe. So the sun in Aquarius is going to be meeting up with Mercury in Aquarius, and then Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. So yeah, so again, like the sun's energy after like all this like deep work with the sun in Capricorn, the sun in Aquarius gets to zoom out again. So this helps us to detach from the very potential large amounts of drama with the Cancer full moon. So sun in Aquarius, we get to zoom out, we get a higher perspective on things, and we get to figure out how we're going to clean up this mess that just happened from the 16th through the 18th. So it's a lot. All right. So then on January 23rd, the sun in Aquarius is going to meet Mercury in Aquarius. This marks the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. Mercury is cazimi. So whenever the planets meet the sun, it's called cazimi. Mercury will be in the heart of the sun. Mercury will be purified and reborn. So when Mercury goes cazimi, all of those Mercury retrograde things, all those issues can like come up again. Major glitches in technology, communication, missed calls, misunderstandings. So again, all of the RE words, revise, review, revisit, make sure that when you're speaking to people that they heard you, maybe have them repeat if something important, repeat it to them, have them repeat it back to you, make sure you're clear, and then also leave time for mistakes, for things to go wrong. It doesn't have to be catastrophic, but if you leave a little extra play time for people being late or things going wrong or things going missing, you'll just benefit more. You'll just navigate the energy more comfortably. Okay, so on Monday, January 24th, Mars leaves the sign of Sagittarius and enters Capricorn in the morning. Mars loves being in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It can focus and be determined and get the work done. Capricorn's all about work and structure and being super organized, and Mars is like, let's go, let's do it. Mars and Capricorn can build things, build strong foundations, solid foundations. It's happy to do the work. So use this time to really push ahead, plow, get things done. And of course, Mars is now in the same sign as Venus retrograde. So they won't meet yet, but they'll kind of be dancing with each other. And Mars and Venus are known as the cosmic lovers. So when they meet in the sky, it's like masculine, feminine coming together. And they're, they don't meet up very often. So it's like they come together and then they part ways. But for a big chunk of 2022, Mars and Venus will be dancing together and they will be morning stars. So we'll be able to see this in the morning. And this is definitely something, I'm always up early anyway, but I'll be making some special time too, to be with Mars and Venus in the morning and to listen to their wisdom and their medicine. Okay, January 25th, Mercury re-enters Capricorn. So the Mercury is retrograded back through Aquarius and re-enters the sign of Capricorn. When Mercury was in Capricorn, it, like I said before, it met up with Venus, it met up with Pluto. And so now Mercury is kind of going back into Capricorn. It will meet Pluto for the third time. Mercury will not meet Venus again, but he is there, letting her know, basically leaving a little love note at the end of her retrograde. When she reaches that degree that Mercury will meet Pluto at, she picks up her love note and then she, or her map about how to get the hell out of the underworld. So, so Mercury goes back into Capricorn to finish its work. And on the same day is the fourth quarter phase of the moon. So we move into the waning moon cycle. Whenever we're in the waning moon time, anytime from the fourth quarter on, just before the new moon, This is a great time for release the past month's energy, do protection work, do clearing work. All of that stuff is really powerful to do when the moon is waning. You want to release, cut cords, get rid of. Okay, on January 28th, the sun in Aquarius will sextile Chiron in Aries. This happens late at night. This is just another great aspect for healing. This month, there's a lot of potential for healing energy. While there are some really wild aspects happening, especially mid-month, it's coming up for healing. So when the sun and Chiron have their sextile, even though it's late at night, it's like that healing while we sleep. So we could have intuitive dreams at this time. It's a time where, again, we'll want to seek out healing remedies, alternative remedies, maybe herbal remedies, acupuncture, massage, we want to soothe that soul wound. We want to have that like healing energy as much as we possibly can right now. Okay, January 29th, Mercury retrograde in Capricorn conjuncts Pluto in Capricorn. So this is the third of 3 times that, no, that's not right. This is the second of 3 that Mercury will meet Pluto. This happens very early in the morning. Interestingly, the moon will also be in Capricorn on this day. So we have the moon, Venus, Mercury, and Pluto all in Capricorn. I think that, again, this will be a huge day for like news, for information coming out. I mean, it could just be pretty brutal with what we hear, what we see, things that are revealed, just shocking. And insanely enough, on the same day, on January 29th, early in the morning, Venus will station direct. So yeah, so like Mercury comes back, grabs Venus, and helps her through the underworld. Of course, Mercury will leave Capricorn before Venus does, but he lights the way for her, or not he, Mercury is more of an it. But Mercury lights the way for Venus to leave, to clear her passage through the underworld. And yeah, the January 29th looks like another enormous day in the astrology. And then we end the month with a bang, another bang. The sun in Aquarius squares Uranus in Taurus. So we began January with the sun trining Uranus, and now we're ending January with the sun squaring Uranus. So the sun trine Uranus at the beginning of the month was helpful, like innovative, like, hey, let's solve this problem. Like, we've been kind of stuck here, but if we go this way, we'll find our way through. We've gone through all this craziness by the end of the month, and now the sun is going to square Uranus. So the sun in a fixed sign squaring Uranus in a fixed sign, this is going to reactivate the Saturn-Uranus square that we dealt with all of last year, and that the last one that we had on December 24th. So again, like information bombs, things coming out, secrets being revealed, unexpected events, things that are really shocking. We have to apply a different approach to old problems. Otherwise, it's just insanity. It's a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a change. And then very early in the morning, on February 1st, we have an Aquarius new moon. And it's an Aquarius new moon at 12 degrees, 20 minutes. And again, this re-triggers the Saturn-Uranus square from Christmas Eve. It is the lunar new year of the water tiger, and it's a really big deal. The tiger year is going to be just, again, like a whole different vibe, a big shift in energy. So yeah, I mean, 2022 is just really off to a wild start again. I really am looking forward to the year of the tiger. So we're wrapping up the year of the ox. I'm an ox. So, sometimes when it's like your year, when the energy comes around, it can bring up challenges. It can show us where we need more growth and, where we need to pay more attention to things. And this has been 2021 was a huge year of growth for me personally on a very internal level, but it has made me strong again. So I really am looking forward to the year of the tiger, to have the focus off of my astrological animal sign and moving on with the year of the tiger, a little more bold, a little more brave, and more ferocious. My Leo moon is really excited about it. So also in February, again, the world continues to get kind of crazy because we are building up to the United States Pluto return. This is the first time that the United States will be having a Pluto return because we are a young country. And this is oftentimes where there are just big changes within countries. It has been said that countries rise and fall during this time. So our Pluto return is obviously very much linked into England and their Pluto returns. So we broke away from them. So, our Pluto return was the rise of the US, and for England, it was the fall of owning the United States. So it's a really big deal. This is a time where our systems, our government, money, because our Pluto is in the second house of earned income and money. So it's a big time for us. We could see huge changes, and it won't just be like one hit and done. We will have several hits of our exact Pluto return. We're just having the first one in February. So I will talk more about that. But it is something to just be aware of, like our country, and because our country is such a big player in the world, things that happen in our country could affect the world. And we need to be aware that things could get pretty crazy. So hopefully we find a constructive way to work through it and just acknowledge that there are certain things that need to change and that we're ready to change. And that's how we want to use the Plutonian energy. We want to be the one to kill something off or to change it. We don't want it to come in from the outside, because that just makes it harder. When we decide to end something versus when something comes at us from the outside ending, it's a totally different dynamic. It just makes it so much more difficult. So more on that later. And thank you so much for joining me for the January outlook. And I look forward to talking more, and I look forward to diving into February with everyone. Yeah, good luck, stay safe. Just lay low around that crazy Cancer full moon, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care, and thanks again. Bye.